Today I'm joined by Melissa Robin, an intentional photographer priestess who doesn't just take your photo. She holds sacred space for you to be seen. Her embodiment session was a true ceremony, cacao, movement, and deep self-love. It wasn't just a shoot, it was a remembering. In this episode, we explore how photography becomes healing, reclamation, and a mirror for your soul. Let's begin. Welcome back to Love of One, Healing and Transformation Podcast. Today, I am honored to have Melissa Robin here with me to talk about intentional photography. And a lot of you may think of, well, that sounds interesting, because it is. I had a session recently of a brand embodiment goddess session with Melissa, and I was so intrigued about the process. The process seemed to start as soon as I scheduled it with any modality that I've done in the past 3 years. It always seems to start in right away, right? She calls and schedules some intentional grounding with you before the photography session so you can anchor into yourself, to your divine feminine being, into your body, to feel okay behind the camera with trust and respect and some sovereignty within that. And then the process of how the whole day unfolded was quite phenomenal. At the end, Melissa, I was like, this isn't just a photography session. And then from there, I've realized too that you also offer a bunch of different ritual like ceremonies and spaces that you hold a really beautiful container for healing with other practitioners too, to offer a really sacred space to awaken within yourself as a feminine being, and even just connecting to femininity and the divine feminine aspect of oneself. With that being said, I'd like to dive in and let everyone know a little bit more about Melissa, where you started on this journey, what led you to this beautiful offering you have today, and what it really means to you.
Yeah, thank you for that beautiful reflection, Angela.
Yeah.
And yeah, your session was so special. I'm so grateful we got to spend that time together. And yeah, I feel like my journey is like it's such an onion with so many layers. I think it all started when I was a junior in high school. I was really struggling with body dysmorphia, mental illness, gender dysphoria, just like I was just really struggling. And I found photography. I took a darkroom class, and it gave me this like tool of transformation that I had never experienced before, particularly when my teacher was like, you need to do a self-portrait for an assignment. And I was like, oh God, I don't want to do this. But I did it. And it was the first time I really saw myself as art, not this like distorted, ugly thing in the mirror. And I've been doing self-portraits ever since. And I think that is like my beginning point when I decided that like I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like I want to do this for a living. I've always been an artist. There's always been cameras around. I've always loved creating things, but that was like the first point of, oh yes, like I can't imagine doing anything else. And from there, I started photographing other people in my class. I did everyone's senior portraits when I was a senior in high school, decided to go to photography school and pursue photography. And at that point, I was kind of like, oh, I'll do weddings and portraits because that's how you make money as a photographer.
Right.
I didn't even dream of like doing goddess sessions in the forest. I was just like, this is what you have to do to make money as a photographer. And I did that for 10 years. And there was little moments in there of, deepening into the journey. Like I would do boudoir sessions for like brides to be, and they'd come up into the forest, and I just see these moments of awakening for them. And they'd call me later and be like, oh my God, I've never seen my body like that before. I never thought I was beautiful until these photos. There's all these little anchor points of being like, when I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, I was already on this path, but you don't see it when you're there. You look back and you're like, wow. And I think after 10 years of burning myself out from like this kind of photography, I wanted something more. I wanted something else. And I started studying temple body arts, dance, ritual arts, priestess arts, and yoga teacher trainings. I later on did trauma-informed somatic therapy, and I kind of just fell in love with my own gifts as a healer. And, I always knew that, but I didn't claim them. And it took a long time on my path to get to that point. And through all these different modalities, I birthed the Goddess Session, which is a weaving of intention and breath and meditation and somatic movement and dance and like being in our bodies and then capturing people when they're like in their fullest expression. And gosh, it's been, expanding from there, but just such a joy, and feels, like what I'm here to do in the world.
Yeah, your purpose, your soul's purpose, to ignite that feeling of divine feminine within whoever comes into your path and walks with you. What is temple body healing? Is that what you said?
Temple Body Arts
Art.
is
Yeah.
a modality that Sophia Tom created. I studied with her for about 8 years. She's a really incredible teacher in Costa Rica, and
Mm.
it's a weaving of tantra, dance therapy, ritual arts, priestess arts, meditation, yoga. What really called me to that practice originally was like the weaving of dance, because I spent
Mm.
the first 15 years of my life really as a dancer. And as I got into my teenage years and had more anxiety and things and had a lot of shame in my body, I just kind of gave up that part of myself. So it felt like really a returning home with the dance piece as well. And that's why my photographs look so natural, actually, is because I am weaving a lot of dance and there's music going. And we're like, okay, what does freedom feel like in the body? And then actually giving people space to move in a way that feels authentic to them, rather than like awkwardly posing people, which is what most photographers do. And then you get like the cheesy cheese.
Yeah, that's a good point. So when we started the process that morning, it was cold, but we were blessed with beautiful weather in the forest. And you had us start with a meditation and some cacao ceremony. And then we did some dance and movement, which was good because it got me moving and warming up, of course. But do you find that that's the difference between just a regular photography and what you provide? It was more of like a modality in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it's looking at it. I mean, there's again so many layers, but I think it's looking at it more as a ritual. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm signing up for the session, and then you have all those feelings come up of like, what do I wear? Am I good enough? Like, how am I going to look in these? And it's like, that's when the healing process really starts, because all
Mhm.
these things are coming up that maybe have been held down for a long time, and you're starting to see these different parts. And I think, having the intention, which we state before, and then anchoring in not only to yourself and your intention so you can embody the words that you are calling forth, but also, thanking the land and having this deep gratitude for the land. And using, for example, as you shared, like the cacao can really help us to open up our hearts and go deeper into our embodiment. So having that cacao offering has been really powerful as well. It's been a medicine that I've studied and worked with for almost a decade in Costa Rica. And it's really powerful. So I think there's like that, the meditation, the grounding, the thinking of the land, the music, being held by Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and having that intention come through, and having someone that actually, can guide you more than just like posing, where I'm
Mhm.
actually holding this beautiful container where people feel safe to fully express themselves.
So how do you approach someone who approaches you and says, "I don't know that I feel comfortable. How do I prepare for this? To get out of my body, to put my best foot forward, to really sink into myself." How do you prepare people for that?
That's a great question. I think everyone is on a different part of their journey. I've worked with some people that have never done a photo shoot in their lives, and they have a lot of fear and trauma come up around it. And then I have people that are, already on the path, already maybe teaching embodiment and things of that nature. And I think, again, anchoring into like when I send the meditation and you're doing the meditation, it's like you're anchoring into the intention. And that intention is like the anchor that holds the whole thing, where it's like, okay, what is it that I want to embody, and what am I bringing forth? What do I want to bring forth? And even if, like, for example, if the word you want to embody is in abundance and you're not abundant in your life yet, even like anchoring into that during the session. And like when I ask you, like, for example, what does abundance feel like you're in your body, and you're moving and you're feeling it in your body, and I'm capturing that like little glimmer, that little moment, it's literally like we're creating this portal and like a future manifestation of looking at the photo. You're like, okay, this is me when I'm feeling abundant. And then it calls more of that into your life. And I think, yeah, having the meditation, having the breath, I can tell and feel. I'm very empathetic. I can feel when people are like super nervous, like the shoulders get tight, or they're like, what do I do with my hands? It's like I have different practices like breath and like shaking and movement to get people out of their heads and back into their body. Because I think that's what happens, at least for me. I know when I've been photographed before, it's like I'm all in my head. I'm telling myself all these stories that maybe aren't even true. And it's really the magic happens when we get out of our head and back into our bodies.
Well, that's a good point. I think as women too, we really struggle because we've often been, I mean, I know in childhood I was bullied a lot about, I wasn't a chubby kid or too skinny kid. I was like in between, but it's just being a girl growing up. And you look at these magazines like the Teen Beat back in the day, and you're constantly judging yourself against the world. Even when I had a photo shoot, like my senior pictures, for example, I remember specifically, like I was in this beautiful studio and I couldn't get, oh my God, my chin is going to be weird. My thighs look big. Oh, suck in. Oh my God, I didn't suck in for that photo. It's not going to look great. We constantly judge ourselves with this mindset, right? It just goes over and over. And so that's what I appreciated about your process too. So could you walk our listeners through a little bit of your process so they can kind of frame a picture around that?
Around the photo session, like the whole experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah, again, starting with the meditation, finding that intention. And then we do a vision call where I'll ask you some questions and really like hear you speak from your heart, like what's coming up for you and what it is that you want to bring through in the actual day of the session. I'll also give you like tips. We'll talk about all the juicy details and kind of go through just all the questions you have in your brain. So you're not like wondering and worrying. And that's, I mean, I've worked with a lot of photographers and I've never even had that experience before. It's just like you show up and then you get your photo taken and then you're like, wait, who is that person?
Yeah. Yeah. How can one relax behind the other side of the photo
Mhm.
if we don't connect first? So I like
Yes,
how you have that connection.
exactly. And then, the day of the actual session, I remind people to get there early, drink lots of water to take care of themselves before the session. And we start with a gentle, usually a walk into the forest, which is so beautiful depending on the location we're photographing at. I'll find a beautiful space for us to sit in meditation and lead people back into the earth so they can ground down and really feel held by the earth and remember what it is that they want to embody. What are these words that they want to express, that they want to feel? And then we'll do some movement and opening. There's usually music playing. I love making playlists, and sometimes my clients use their music as well. And it's just like really fun and light and playful. And I think a big part of this too is like we're connecting to our inner children. Like we're playing in the forest and we're choosing different little places of light to photograph. And I think that I'm a little silly too, and I'm definitely awkward. So it makes people feel more comfortable where they're like, oh, this is okay. She's totally weird and we can be weird together and we're just playing in the woods. And it is very, as I shared, it's like, oh, we're reconnecting to our inner children. And a lot of these people are, healing wounds of sexual trauma or fear of being seen, of, as you shared earlier, like all the scarring from growing up in the 90s and the 2000s of all the magazines and all these beauty standards that are pushed on us. It's like, no, we're letting go of all that, all of our old stories, and just being in the moment, being completely present and being witnessed. And I really believe that every single person is a piece of art and deserves to feel like a piece of art. And that beauty comes from within. And I'm there to hold that space for people to really tap into what their authentic essence is, as weird as it is, and just let it shine and have
Yeah.
it captured and immortalized, really.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful experience. What do you find that people say the most after their experience with you? I know you do testimonials afterwards. You've done so many. Is there like a common theme of what people feel like afterwards within themselves, their body, their self-love?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weavings. I hear like deep transformation a lot. I hear the inner child healing a lot.
Mm,
People feel seen. And I think too, like, it's even if they have worked with a photographer before, that I always get told that this is their first time they're seeing their authentic selves like in a
mm.
photograph, which is for people. They're like, that is the essence of my soul in a photograph. And yeah, it's like a gift and a curse of being a photographer because I feel like the memory keeper where I'm like, I have all these beautiful memories. And the first, you know, when someone passes on, people reach out to me and they're like, you have the most incredible photos of this person. So it's like such a
Mm.
blessing to be able to provide that for people. Like, that's all we have left when we go is like the photos, you know?
That's a good point. And when people have to evacuate their home for whatever reason, a lot of times they're like, I want to get my photos.
Yeah.
And you said something that I didn't even think of is when you were talking about an intention and playing music and saying, what does abundance look like to you? What does joy, freedom look like to you? And then you capture that moment to then use later. I never thought of that as using that as like even a self-love, self-reflection shrine of
Mhm.
yourself in that moment of what you actually look like to help manifest that. Because a lot of times intentions are everything. It's emotion, it's visuals, it's smells, it's all the senses, right? And I never thought to think that never thought to think, but to look at that photo as a manifestation tool in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And imagine, like, you know, for example, you have a beautiful office and you have this like beautiful, empowered, powerful photo of you hanging in your office that you see every day. And if you're kind of
Yeah.
feeling like you're having a shitty day, you're looking up and you're like, yes, that is fucking me up there. Or in the
Yeah.
bedroom, having a sexy
Yeah.
photo of you being like, damn, I look good there. You know, it's
Yeah,
powerful.
it is. I feel like I wanna do that. My kids are like, "Mom, what are you putting your photo everywhere?" And I'm like, "You know what? I'm embracing me. Thank you."
Yes, exactly. It's beautiful. And for them to see that
I
too,
know.
for our little ones to see
It's
that too.
empowering, especially
It's
for my
beautiful.
daughters. Yeah. So, along this journey, Melissa, you've also offer these beautiful rituals and things. I've actually signed up for a moon ritual coming up in July. I'm so excited. Plus, it's at the beach, which is my favorite, one of my favorite places. What led you to discover these kind of offerings? And then you also do some other offerings. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, where do I even start with that? I would say, like,
Mhm.
you know, when I birthed the goddess session 8 years ago, I had no idea what it was going to turn into. I just remember being scared shitless, going out of portraits and weddings to being like, I'm going to make up this thing and hopefully I can make a living doing it. But it did expand every single year. And I think, you know, people would hire me to come on their retreats and they'd be like, oh, I want to do like a group photo thing. And it just kept like happening where the universe is like, hey, here's these groups of people. And then
Mhm.
myself going on retreats and all the healing and medicine that I've received from being in community, I think that's like such a powerful tool. It's like being witnessed by other is what's helped me so much on my own healing and transformational journey. So just
Mm,
kept getting signs. And then like people would be like, oh, I want to do a goddess session with like my bachelorette party. So it just
mm,
kept
mm,
happening. And then I was like, okay, I need to listen to this. And
mhm.
yeah, I would say I've always really loved ritual. Even when I was a little girl, like I remember like making mandalas on the beach and not really realizing what I was doing. And I've just always had a deep love for, yeah, just being a little witchy and
Nothing wrong with that.
at the beach and like being with nature and being in community is just so powerful. Actually, in 2020, I launched my retreat business, which is so crazy, but it was all outside. And I was like, this is actually what we really need right now because everyone
Mm.
is like separating and being far apart from each other. And God, I remember the first retreat, we were doing like temperature checks and COVID tests and like all this thing. It feels so much easier now, but
Of course,
it
yeah.
was quite a year to start doing that. But just hearing how many people were transformed in such a short amount of time just made my heart like explode. I was like, oh my God, I love doing this so much. And even though
Mm.
the first like 3 years of my retreat business, I like wasn't making any money. I was just like the amount of people that I can touch in a short amount of time, just it makes it worth it. It's so powerful. And for many years, my photography business was funding my retreat business because I love it so much. And I just receive so much joy from when people come together, it's so powerful. And from there, so Illuminated Retreats was born, and I've been doing that for 5 years. This will be the 5th one in June. That's like my 4-day deep dive. When the culmination of that retreat is being witnessed by retreat participants and the camera, and having your moment to like be fully embodied. And like the whole retreat kind of leads into that with like shadow work, releasing, what are we calling in, what it is that we want to embody. And it's kind of like an expansion of what the goddess session is, going really deep into these different modalities. And of course, you have the community aspect. And then 2 years ago, that expanded even more to the group mood ritual session, which is like my more affordable offering for people that maybe can't invest in a full week or 4-day retreat, where on the newer full moon, we're meeting in nature, and it's like a 4-hour mini day retreat with meditation, ritual altar building, cacao, meditation, somatic movement, dance. And then at the end of that last hour, each person is being photographed and witnessed. And it's so beautiful and powerful as well. It's like the mini version of Illuminated Retreat, just making it more accessible for people as well.
I love it. And just the community aspect of that just amplifies everybody. And what I also like about the idea of it, because I have yet to try a ritual, but I will very shortly, is that it's probably just very empowering in knowing that we're not alone in this process. We're not alone in these thoughts. We're not alone in this healing journey, and that we all share some commonality of finding ourselves and participating in this self-love, right? Of being in this community and being out in nature and being okay behind a camera in front of others. So that's a little different too, because if someone was doing a photo embodiment session one-on-one with you, that's one thing to feel comfortable and confident, but it's another to be in a ritual space with strangers, essentially.
Yeah.
And then still trying to open up more. Do you find that a little more challenging between the embodiment one-on-ones versus the rituals with a community setting?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more space for me to hold, and like holding the container and like reading the energy of the group, because everyone's kind of in a different space. But every one that I've done has been so healing and powerful. And it's like the right people are always there. And it's like each person is medicine for another. And I think, yeah, there's that support from Mother Earth and the universe, like bringing the right people together at the right time. And, I've had some really incredible clients over the past 5 years that have come to every retreat, or they'll do like a moon ritual session and a one-on-one every year. So there's like different medicine and the different offerings, and being seen and overcoming that fear it's not just like a one and done, there's so many levels and layers of being seen. Like for me, it was like, okay, I was hiding behind my camera for a really long time. And like 8 years ago, I couldn't imagine being on this interview with you. I would have been like stuttering and all red and totally nervous. And then overcoming that through just like continuing to do it and continuing to show up is what has been so helpful. So I'm really grateful that I have people that like kind of return every year, like you just did the brand embodiment session. Now you're like, oh, I want to try the group ritual session. It's like this deepening that you get to do every time, and it's just really powerful to witness. I've had one woman I can think of in particular that has been on this journey with me the whole 5 years. She's lost 150 pounds. She's a completely different person, and now she's getting ready to launch her own offerings as a grief doula and sharing her gifts with the world. And it's just so powerful.
That's beautiful.
To witness people on their journey. And, that's my ultimate dream for everyone, is that we find out who we are, we embody our full expression, then we share our gifts with the world. Because I think that everyone needs to share their medicine. Everyone's been on their own unique journey and has something to share with the collective.
Agreed. Now is the time more than ever to shine our lights, regardless of what that looks like. And there are a lot of people that are hiding behind cameras and not being seen, but now is the time to be seen, even if it's something as small as just, doing an interview or talking about that, doing sound or anything, just step outside of the curtain, from behind the curtain, and let it shine, right? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what come on out and play. Yeah. And
Yeah.
all these things are becoming more available, more accepted too, which I think is really important to point
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you find your healing journey through this? Is it continuing even though you're the one behind the camera but also in front of it?
Yeah, I feel like the healing journey never ends. There's always something else, especially like the state of the world that we live in right now. There's just like always stuff coming at us, and we're like, oh, great. Well, for me, I think of movement as my deepest medicine and making sure that I spend every single day, even if it's for 10 minutes in the morning or before I go to bed, moving in some sort of way, whether that's a moving meditation or putting on a favorite playlist and dancing or going to ecstatic dance. Because I think when we experience trauma or micro traumas or just any information that doesn't feel good in our bodies, if it sits in our bodies, it causes disease and dis-ease in the body. So it's like we need to constantly be moving these things out of our body or breathing them out and not holding them in. So for me, movement has always been my deepest medicine, as well as art, like expressing myself not only through photography, but through painting or mixed media. This is also something I weave into my illuminated retreats for integration. I think art is such a beautiful way to integrate and express our experiences. And yeah, I think the top two ones are art and movement for me. And of
Hmm.
course, like going on my own retreats and traveling and doing the things that bring my heart so much joy.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Melissa, there's probably a lot of people that would be listening to this and wondering, how I book sessions with you? How can I be part of this beautiful intentional photography and this movement in which you're holding containers for?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, either Melissa Robin Photo or Illuminated Retreats, or you can just go on Google and type in Melissa Robin, and you'll find all sorts of fun stuff to explore. I have a lot of free gifts on my websites as well that people can sign up for and get more little treasures and gifts. And yeah, reach out to me, send me a message on Instagram or through the website. I'd love to connect with you.
I think it's important to note too that even though you're located physically in the Pacific Northwest, that is not the only place that you go to offer these beautiful offerings and gifts, right? You've traveled all over the world, yeah?
Yeah, I feel very blessed. I say that, yeah, photography funds my travel addiction because I do love to explore this beautiful world. And yeah, I'll be going to Avalon, England pretty soon, Mexico later this year. A lot of people hire me to come onto their retreats to offer like group sessions for their participants as well as individual sessions. Those are
Mhm.
so powerful. And then some people are like, oh my God, I want you to photograph me at my favorite waterfall in California. Like, can I fly you down here? And I'm like, absolutely. But yeah, I love Oregon. I love the Pacific Northwest. And I'm really blessed that I have a lot of clients that fly here as well to access the incredible, beautiful, lush nature that we have out here.
Do you do most of your photography outdoors and most of these sessions outdoors to connect with nature?
I would say like probably at least 80%. And then I have, some brand embodiment clients that want me to come to their spaces. If they're massage therapists or if they own a retreat center, they'll have me come to their space to do some of the sessions inside as well, which I can also do. But of course, I love Mother Nature. She is my biggest inspiration.
Oh, she's how could she not be?
Yeah.
Melissa, is there anything else or other words of wisdom that perhaps you'd like to share regarding your own healing journey, or something else that inspires others when they come to see you?
Hmm. I'm feeling this prayer of freedom and liberation for all beings, and that my prayer for you and for everyone is that you find the space to really feel who you are and feel safe fully expressing your authentic self to the world. And I'm happy to help you on that journey if you feel resonance.
That's beautiful. We could all use some of that.
Yeah.
I'm so honored that you came on to talk about your inspiration, your light, the container which you hold to help people be seen and sink into their own self-love, because
Mm-hmm.
it is difficult and nothing says it better and more powerful than a beautiful photo of their true expression on the other side. Thank you so much for all your light and beauty that you put into the world through your photography, through holding your own energy for those that come to see you. I
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All of Melissa's information will be in the end of this podcast as well as the description for this episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa's light and lenses have helped so many reclaim their divine essence. And now, maybe it's your turn. You can connect with Melissa at melissa-robin.com or on Instagram at Melissa Robin Photo and at Illuminated Retreats. All links are in the show notes. Until next time, keep coming home to the love of one.